Welcome to the Next Generation Fishing Report. I'm your host, Sandy Alvarez, and today's co-host we have Devin Kaya. Mike wasn't allowed to come today. No, I'm just kidding. He's out there somewhere, but he's not, unfortunately, not with us today. And keep in mind that we are not doing a show next week because of Thanksgiving, so we will see you the following week after that. Today we're going to talk about what Captain Danny Barrow and Devin are going to talk about the fishing inshore and offshore report. We're going to go into Rig of the Week with Captain Danny Barrow and Devin, with the hot fish being the Spanish mackerel. Debate of the Week, we're going to talk about the invasive species freshwater problem we're having, me and Captain Danny Barrow. Weather and predictions for this weekend, and all our sponsors when we get back.
Welcome to your Next Generation Fishing Report. This is your offshore and inshore report for the week. I'm joined by Captain Danny Barrow. Again, it's a pleasure as always to see you. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
So, offshore this week, for lack of better words, it sucked. The wind's been blowing. But I heard from a source, a reliable source, that there was a dolphin caught off our pier.
Off the Lake Worth pier. And it was a decent sized dolphin. I mean, for 12 foot of water, you know, it was like an 8-pound dolphin. What there's one there, there's more. And I've been saying this for the last couple of weeks. I get a lot of calls from a lot of people. There's been a lot of guys that are walking the beaches that are telling me they're seeing dolphin 300 yards offshore blowing up on ballyhoo. It's only 20 foot of water. So you still look, it's going to...
Pelagic species, remember, they move everywhere, so...
There are no fences in Mother Nature's world.
Fences.
Back to that, it's been super rough. And I'm sure later on when we get into weather and predictions, you're going to be looking this weekend.
Danny.
Should rock, bro.
It should rock. Not all of us are privileged to have an 80-foot Hatteras to go out on with twin freaking diesel engines that can push through that like somebody we know.
I couldn't flip the tab for Andy's boat, man. That thing was boat. I like to call it a yacht.
Yacht, mega yacht. Almost.
Anybody that can.
It's a Carolina skiff, 17 foot. What do you expect?
Yeah, on the roof of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, next to the Hells Bay Flats boat, next to that one. But anyway, look, there's going to be a ton of dolphin.
There is.
This week, the guys that did fish, the crazy guys, caught big fish. There's still lots of wahoo around here.
There's wahoo?
There are a lot of wahoo around. The funny thing about that is usually it thins out and it's like you see not many wahoo but bigger fish. There's still good numbers of big wahoo being caught out there. So
and there's also it's one of Andy's favorite fish to eat in the world. It's the kingfish. They're there.
Yeah.
They're there.
He loves kingfish.
Fried kingfish and soup.
Kingfish dip. Kingfish with peanut butter. But anyway, nothing is better than cobia. Don't let Andy lie to you on that.
But another thing, Danny, on the offshore report.
Yes.
It's that time of the year. We're getting the cold snaps early this year. Guys, last year, these cold fronts did not start pushing down like we did. So you know what's going to start rolling in is those mackerel, those Spanish mackerel. Wait, what were we supposed to, the Latin mackerels. We don't want to offend anybody on the show.
The Latin mackerel.
The Latin
mackerels. Andy's Cubano, you know. We don't want to, he's the boss man. You don't rub the boss man wrong. Anyway, you are right on the money with the mackerel. The mackerel have showed up. The pier fishermen are catching them. They're catching bluefish. I'll tell you another good thing that's going on along the beaches right now in this area, even with this rough surf, lots of small African pompano and good sized pompano. So, you know, it's not just because it's been rough, that's fine. We're beyond that now, guys. We're looking at this weekend. If you got your gear ready, you're on the money. If you
I don't want to give them any secrets about the weekend, right? Just to get. Just
have your stuff ready. I'm going to leave it at that. Want to roll over to some inshore stuff?
Let's talk about some inshore stuff. You know, it's a time of year that, like, inshore to me, it's a good time to fish. It's a little cooler.
Yep.
Your daytime is more enjoyable.
Yep.
You're not getting beat up out there with the rough weather and the choppy water.
Nope.
You're sitting inside, and there's plenty places in our lagoon to target fun fighting species. Go with the lighter gear.
Break out the light tackle, and I did this week. And I fished quite a bit with one of my regular clients this week. We fished 2 days this week, 2 days last week. We caught not many snook. The snook we caught were quality fish. They were either right under slot or in the slot. We released them all, but we caught snook, jack crevalle. The lagoon right now is loaded with jack crevalle. Start going around seawalls, docks. If you can find the pilchards, though, see?
Also, on that, with the rough weather, you will find snapper on the inside, too.
And there's the snapper. There's bridges in this. I'm glad you said this. The bridges here in Palm Beach County right now, there's some big mangrove snapper and a few decent-sized mutton snapper on these bridges. And I think it's leftovers from the mullet run. I could be wrong. But the trick is, with me this week, was pilchards.
Pilchards was the key.
I got 2 nice live wells on my boat. One with mullet, one with pilchards. Because I got my spots where I find my pilchards, and they just happen to be there. The mullet, I didn't get the action that I thought I would get swimming a live mullet down the seawall.
Sometimes it's not their fancy.
Take them pilchards, and they weren't giant pilchards. They were these little 3-4 inch types, perfect snook baits, and in a 3-inch cork, and just swimming them down the seawall. Throw them up against the walls and let the current just drag you down them seawalls. Plenty of jack crevalle, plenty of snook. I saw birds feeding. This was just south of the Lake Avenue Bridge in Lake Worth. Birds just feeding on the surface of the water, and I know they were either bluefish or Spanish mackerel. And the client that I had with me was from Jersey, and he said they're not bluefish because bluefish would be making more ruckus.
They pop on the surface, yeah.
They were Spanish mackerel, and I'm talking not little patches. I'm talking there was 100 birds feeding in an acre circle, and they were probably all Spanish mackerel, like you're saying.
So I got my trick when we bluefish, and maybe I'll show you that sometime when we go out there.
I like tricks. If you know a trick, I like to know a trick, Jack. The other thing, guys, the inshore bite, saltwater, it's on. You're going to have fun this weekend if that's your gig. Freshwater, if you're into the freshwater stuff, the peacock bite is pretty good right now. I'm not getting the numbers of bigger fish like I was getting 2 weeks ago, but they're still chewing. You just got to be able to get, I'm throwing a 3-inch lure, little 3-inch Cultiva lure, up underneath these docks. We're pitching the docks and the seawalls just like I'm snook fishing.
Yeah.
And catching a lot of small peacocks like this. But today we went out, we were doing a film shoot for a rod and reel company with a buddy of mine, Daiwa. We were filming with Daiwa, and I'm doing my thing with Shimano. And anyway, we both got into good fish, working the seawalls, working the docks. The trick is to use like a 10-pound fluorocarbon leaders. Even
going way down on that weight.
I took out one of these new rods that I had built here. I had 3 custom peacock rods. Andy had his guys here build for me last week. And I put mono on one of them because that's what I'm going to try and get my customers to start using to get them away from the braid and for live bait.
For live bait.
And using 3-inch shiners. And I got one peacock that was just under 5 pounds, and they're just beautiful fish. I mean, it's going on, dude.
So with the live baiting, I really don't live bait much. I like the challenge. So
I'd rather throw an artificial.
I'd rather throw artificial and I use braid.
But if they're not eating the artificials, and you work 100 yards of seawall.
I mean,
I got these freshwater lakes around here.
I got 48 colors to try on that 100 yards.
If you don't get hit throwing all them artificials, put them away. Get into the bait well and either use shad or some of them little 3-inch store-bought shiners. Start flipping those things along the seawalls with a little cork and watch what happens. They will chomp them things.
And if you guys don't have a rod for it, you can get them here built here at X Generation. Andy has all the specs on them to build you out any kind of rod you want. And on that note, if you guys don't have a boat and want to charter with somebody, Captain Danny's here has grown up his whole life in Florida.
I'm here for you.
This guy, we
I'm
fished
not the
everywhere.
best. He's the best. No. Look, I'm just a guy that likes to fish, and I just happen to take people fishing for a living. I got the perfect boat to do it in. You're going to be comfortable, and we'll have fun, and that's enough of me plugging me, according to Mr. Producer.
Danny, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me on the internet. Find me on FishBooker. You can catch me at 561-253-4100 or GoSnookFishing.com on the web. Thank you, Mr. Producer.
That is your fishing report with me, Devin Canhigh, and Captain Danny Barrow.
Boom.
Captain Danny, thank you again for joining us as always.
Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, guys. The hot fish this week is the Spanish mackerel. Devin here is going to show us a rig for catching them Spanish mackerels. He's pretty good with this stuff.
So Spanish mackerel, guys. Spanish mackerel, when they come and you get the school running through, they're coming through in the hundreds. Sometimes the school's a little smaller in the 50s, but everybody's, if you're pier fishing, if you're beach fishing, people are casting over each other. So what you want to do is you want to have a rig that's A, it's easy to put together, B, it's quick and easy to get the hook out, And see, if you get cut off, you can re-rig really easy. So those are the 3 things I like when you're loading up on mackerel. So
Now,
today,
you said cut off. I got a feeling you're going to have a trick to keep you from getting cut
I
off.
got a trick to keep
I
you
can't
from
wait
getting
to
cut
see
off.
this thing.
Not from when you get cast over by some of the other people fishing
Well, you're
on a
talking like
pier.
fishing piers and stuff.
Yeah. So, but if you get cut off too with the mackerel, I'm going to show you a little way to avoid that. Sometimes it does happen. Okay. Sometimes they'll hit a little too high on it, but I'm going to show you the best way I like. So, this is one that's a no frills rig. I don't go into really making them myself because honestly, for me, to make these rigs and put all that time in,
Why?
why when I
You
can
can
just
come right in here on the rack and almost any local tackle shop probably
Yep.
and walk in and they'll have all this stuff on the rack.
Now, I really like these we get from xgen because they actually make theirs with Surflon, which is a lot more pliable. It doesn't, and when you mackerel fish too, check those things out.
Oh yeah.
So they're a lot
Oh,
more
yeah.
pliable, guys. You can
Oh
bend
yeah.
these things like
This
this.
is the bomb.
They're not going to get kinked up like your wire, which is beautiful.
See that wire would have kinked.
Wire with a kink.
It's only good for one shot. These things last for fish after fish after fish.
And when you mackerel fish, that wire is going to get kinked up almost after every fish.
Okay.
You might get 2-3 fish out of it.
And the mackerel, I call them, they're like a submarine piranha.
They are. They're
You
very
know,
much
they're not round. They're shaped like a submarine. They're this long, and they eat like piranhas.
Yeah, you'll get them from this long all the way up to about this long. You'll get
And
some
they
of
got
bigger
the
ones.
teeth to cut right through mono. So this rig,
So a little piece of Surflon, about 6 inches. They're pre-made here at xgen. This is one you can fish with a spoon.
just
Now,
your average spoon.
just
That's
your
a
average-
crocodile spoon, is it?
Crocodile-
That's a crocodile spoon.
Yep, just your average spoon. Now you can adjust your sizes on those.
Heavy little sucker,
Yep.
man. That thing will fly.
They fly.
So if you're using more weight with this thing, you can throw longer casts to get the distance you need.
Yeah.
Like if you're walking a beach and these fish are, 200 foot off the beach, you're going to need a heavier spoon to be able to reach them, especially if it's windy. I can see that
Oh,
lure
yeah.
right there. Touch out, reach out and touch
The
somebody.
beautiful thing about a spoon, Danny, is you can work it all different ways. But I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. So it's an easy one clip side. You clip it on like that. It's got the swivel here so your mono or your braid doesn't get twisted up. You tie that end off to your braid or mono and you're ready to go in literally 2
That
seconds.
quick.
That quick.
And you're not going to get bit off because of this.
No.
What'd you call this stuff again?
The Surflon.
Surflon.
So, and it's a special type of wire. And just connected right there. The only problem that I see is sometimes xgen doesn't do it because they use smaller swivels. Sometimes they'll cut you off on the swivel, but that is something that
Right,
happens.
because
with
they're
some of
eating, they're in there wanting to feed on minnows or anything they can eat. They're a piranha of the ocean, I like to call them.
this. But the beautiful thing is when you get cut off and you pull back in that line, you grab another one of these, run it through.
Now, would you say bring an array of different weights and sizes on
Yes,
these?
absolutely.
Like have a bucket that's got 4 or 5 different sizes.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I'll have my bucket and I'll have them hanging off the bucket already ready to go with the Surflon on it so I can switch them off. If you're fishing with buddies, a couple techniques I like to do. You have one guy with the heavier rod that can cast longer and they'll throw it way out. And what these fish do is they compete for food, so the school will follow that fish in that's hooked, and then you have your 2 other friends you can cast along with it and you get 2 more fish.
Little shorter rod, little
Yeah,
lighter rod.
little lighter rod, and you
little
can have
more
some fun.
sporty for those 2 guys.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick.
You have to have friends to fish with friends.
He's got a friend.
I do got a friend.
See, he
I
got a friend.
I got a friend right here.
And he got
a
no
friend in me.
friends. All Andy's got's that big old boat, guys. He ain't got no friends. He ain't got no friends no more.
All right,
We
Danny.
go fishing together and stuff.
So little techniques with these spoons you can use, right? There's a couple different ways. These are very versatile.
This
so
is true.
you can drag them across the top of the water.
Yeah,
and they're
you can
gonna
hold
spin.
your rod up and just take and spin it and keep that thing flipping right near the surface or this far under the water.
And you have other techniques that I like to do. Is like I like to let them sink, and I'll jig them and I'll work the whole water line. So you're going up here, working the top, then letting it drop down, bringing it back up again. That's the way I like
It's
to
almost
work
like a hop and drop,
Yep.
like when we're doing snook fishing with soft plastics, only on a little quicker basis. Now, if you look at these lures and see how it's designed, if you look at the curvature of it, see how the spine back in here it's kind of bowed like that? That's what gives it that wobble look. I like to take them and just throw them out as far as I can get them, wherever that school of fish is, get my rod at about 10:30, and just sit there and do like a medium retrieve like this, and that lure's sitting there just wobbling. It drives them crazy.
So,
Bluefish, and there's going to be bluefish mixed in with them, but that Spanish mackerel,
Those bluefish. We'll cut you off too.
It's that Spanish mackerel though is the hot fish of the week. And I'll tell you what, Devin, that little guy right there will get it done, buddy, and you won't get cut off.
And you won't miss a school because it's so quick to rig up. So that here is your X Generation fishing report, hot fish and rig of the week. We'll see you next week.
X Generation, debate of the week. We're going to talk about the invasive species in freshwater. Now, we really don't have much of a debate offshore because of the way the conditions are. But so we're going to talk a little bit about the inshore invasive species in our area, and we have a lot of invasive species. We're going to talk. There's peacocks. I'm going to name some species for you.
Butterfly peacock bass.
Peacock bass. You also have the clown knifefish. You have your snakeheads. You have your tilapia. You have your myocichlins. I mean, there's more, but those are your main ones that actually cause, I believe, a lot of damage to our estuaries here in this freshwater area.
We're talking freshwater now, okay, guys?
Yes.
The canal and lake systems here in Palm Beach County, South Florida, Florida in general.
Right, but it's not, a lot of these invasive species haven't made it to Lake Okeechobee, thank God, but there is some belief that the reason why they will not survive in Lake Okeechobee is because it's such a broad spread water. It's not a canal system like what we have down here in Lake Osborne, Lake Ida.
Okay.
So we have these species. They are very invasive, and I think they're really putting the damage on a lot of species like the brim, the bluegill, our native species. Also the bass, of course, and your shiner population, and all these things that are normally here on a consistent level have been declining over the years because of these invasive species. Now, my theories and the debate is why not do something about it? Nobody's enforcing any rules or any regulations on actually trying to demolish this like they do with the lionfish that they do in the ocean. You know, they have these tournaments that go out there.
Big time. Gotta get rid of all the lionfish. Good luck on it. But and this is Florida Wildlife Conservation Commission throws these tournaments. They literally have tournaments to try and rid the waters of as many of these lionfish in the saltwater reefs here as they possibly can. What you're saying is maybe we need to do something inshore on the same type of basis, but not tournament style. I got a feeling I know where you're going with this, and it's going to end up with this stuff somewhere.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and I do believe that
fish are big money. There's big money in fish, and we all know that. Go to the fish house and start looking at the prices on the different types of fish. There's big money in fish. There's big money in freshwater fish, and here's why. Well, especially in South Florida, you have a lot of different cultures. We're a melting pot here, and a lot of different cultures of people that'll eat some of these fish that a lot of us look and go, I ain't going to eat that thing. Real quick, I'm going to touch back on the bluegill and the brim. These are two fish that as a kid I grew up fishing for, and I know you did here in South Florida.
Absolutely.
It was nothing to go out and grab half a loaf of bread or a little thing of worms from your local tackle shop, a cane pole, and couple little hooks this big, and go catch a bucket load of bluegill. I don't know the last time I seen a bluegill in the Lake Osborne chain, the Keller Canal chain. I don't see them anymore. What I do see are the Mayan cichlids, the tilapias, and these. The peacock bass were introduced here for a reason.
And I think it backfired.
Okay.
But we're not going there right yet.
Okay.
But
we'll backfire later.
No, it backfired. It backfired because they're actually producing faster than they thought they were going to produce, and they're actually taking over the largemouth bass.
And real quick, I'm going to agree with you a little bit on the production reason, and here's why. I was butterfly peacock fishing today, and my buddy pointed down and he goes, "Look at all those juvenile peacocks," and there was a whole school of them, and they were about yay big. But the thing, and I think I touched on this before when we've been doing this show, is I think the peacocks are they're more aggressive, they're more of a bully. I don't think they're eating the bass. They might. I mean, hey, everything eats a baby bass. They make lures in a baby bass color. But I think they're more bullyish. They'll come up where a bass is bedding, I think, and go, "Hey, you, out of the hood, dude, I'm moving in. If you want to fight about it, I will." And the bass is going to go, "Nah, I ain't up to the fight," because they're not that aggressive of a fish. These fish are not from here. They're not native here. They're not the mellow Florida that we know. These are real aggressive.
Well, here's what we could do, and I'm just giving a theory out because I know we've opened the Mark II lionfish out there. You can actually go to the fish market nowadays
and buy
lionfish. But You can't go out there and buy clown knifefish. You can't go out there and buy myocyclins. You can't go out there and buy peacock bass, and you can't go out there and buy what was the other one? The snakeheads. Now the snakeheads I mean, if you talk to the people that go down south, down here,
delicacy in the Orient. Oh my God, they'll fight over it.
It's delicious, and they would swear up and down that it is really, really good eating. Now there could be a market for that if it was introduced into the fishing industry as far as the marketing is concerned, as far as selling. Then that being said, now you have a way to control the species as well as you can do the same for the clown knifefish, the peacock bass, and also the myocyclin.
Okay,
which all these species are very edible, and they're worth eating for most people.
Some people will eat them.
I mean, I'll eat them over cobia, that's for sure.
Enter the commercial fishermen into your freshwater lakes and canal systems.
Hook and line only. We're not onto that net
okay, well, here's the deal. If it's hook and line, no nets, because if they come in, they'll come in. There'll be a flotilla going to come in and wipe out everything in your lakes. Maybe not by choice, and I'm not going to beat up on you commercial guys, and you know where I'm coming from.
But when you start
not by
netting,
choice.
fish,
when you start netting fish, there's going to be a lot of overkill bycatch that you don't need. Hook and line, is it going to be worth them to do it? Can they produce enough fish to make, you know, they're not going to do the kingfish guy money. They're not going to make $2,000 a day. They're not going to make $1,000 a day. They might be able to do like the catfish guy out here, and he might be making a couple $100 a day, you know, something on the order of that. But I worry about the other species that we do want to protect. You know, I've seen what happened to the saltwater, the speckled trout, the spotted trout here in our saltwater estuaries. The commercial guys are out trying to catch other stuff, pompano and stuff. They get into these trout. It's not good because those.
No, and I agree on the net thing. I mean, the net thing shouldn't be about. And I know what you're saying now. Is there a market for these guys to actually go and make money? Well, let me tell you something. There is, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to explain why. Because if you're out there and it's 4 to 6 plus out there in the ocean, and you're going to go beat up to try to catch $100 or $500 worth of fish, you're almost inevitably not going to do it.
But I want you to do that because I don't want you in that freshwater canal system.
But
Andy's trying to weed out the bad because he is, I mean, straight up, you're a bass fisherman.
Yes.
And
it's getting worse and worse.
I can only stand with you on that one. The bass fishing is slowly, in the not Lake Okeechobee, but in this area, it's starting to decline your catches. These guys are going out, you're tournament fishing, you're catching 9 peacock bass and 2 bass or 3 bass, unless you do like...
It depends on what you're using, but yeah, that to some extent, that is some of the occasions.
There's like, you're catching more butterfly peacock bass now than you are largemouth bass.
And go back 10 years ago, you'd be lucky if you even caught a peacock bass.
And you could crush the largemouth. So it's like, have the largemouths been wiped out, or are they doing like Tim Rose, who works here at this shop, told me? And he said, well, what I think, Danny, is that what they're schooling up. The bass are schooling up, and they're moving to areas where they're not getting all this pressure from all the bullies. Maybe that's true. I don't know. I worry, man, when you start introducing people into these, it's like one of the last little havens I got, because my saltwater estuaries here have been pretty badly beat up. Granted, still lots of fish. Yes, there's plenty of snook and all that other stuff, but the freshwater side of it, I just look and go, can you go out and hook and line enough clownfish 5 days a week to make a killer paycheck every week? I don't see it. I think it's going to be hard to do. But
well, it's a suggestion. I'm not saying that it's the right way to go about it, but I think it is, personally.
It's something that can be looked at because no one suggested anything yet.
This
is cool that you're suggesting it, because I'm like, you're on the right ball. It's like something needs to be done.
And not only that, and then just one more thing before we close this segment up. If you think about it, now you're taking some people out there who's trying to make a living commercial fishing, and they're not beating up on the saltwater 24/7, and they're kind of giving a little bit of the saltwater a little bit of slack, and also gives it a little bit more room for them to breathe over a time frame. Think about that.
Yeah, but see, with me,
how about that?
Yeah, but me now, I got this butterfly peacock bass, dude. It's in my veins now. That's what I've been all day today out there, and it is a blast.
On those things.
It is such a. You say we can't. I didn't knock them dead today. I did really good a couple days ago. Today we did good, but not like a couple days ago.
Those fronts coming. It's going to get harder and tougher as the winter months come on. The peacock bass fishing is more of a spring, summer, fall type fish. In the winter, they go deeper. They look for. They're more.
So I'll start fishing the ledges. Lethargic. I'll start fishing the ledges.
Anywho,
I guess.
Anyway, that's our debate. We'd like to hear from you. Email us at xgenfishing@gmail.com. Again, xgenfishing@gmail.com. And we'd like to hear your points, your theories, whatever you got. It's all in fun. Listen, we're just giving out,
email us a debate you might like us to do.
Yeah,
That's what we
email
would
us a
just
debate.
love. Email us a debate.
Absolutely.
Something that we can throw around and, mix it up some.
All right, now let's go to the weather predictions. No, that was cut off.
Weather and predictions.
Weather predictions to Devin. What do we have for us? The weather, at least first.
So for this weekend, it's looking a lot better than last weekend. We have on Friday, we have northeast winds, 10 to 15 knots, seas 5 to 7 with your occasional lines. So Friday is out of the question unless we're on your boat.
Yeah. Guys, don't believe these guys, okay? I got a Carolina skiff, okay? It's a little itty bitty boat.
It's on top. It's on top. All right. Saturday's looking a lot better. We've got 3 to 5s with an east wind, 5 to 10. So, Andy, you fish the Saturdays. We see those on the straight east wind. You're going to get a little more spacing in the intervals.
Yeah, it's
more choppy.
it's actually not a bad time to go fishing, but Sunday is definitely
Sunday is the day to fish. And you guys, the weather predictions for Sunday is northwest winds 5 to 10, seas 2 to 4. And when those seas are 2 to 4, they're clean. They're just rolling. Right.
And if the water's not dirty, which we're hoping to clean up a little bit with all this salt water getting pushed towards us from the east winds, then we're going to see a lot of these pelagics like wahoo and dolphin coming over to us. Now, there is a wahoo tournament this weekend over here in the Bahamas. Interesting to see how that outcome is. I can't wait to hear the reports on that, but which we'll give you after the next week or so.
So, Sunday, day to fish.
And if you don't have the boat and you don't want to go out in those 2 to 4s, definitely think about that inshore bite. It's still going to be around. You got that Spanish mackerel, you got the bluefish, you got the snook in the inlets and right inside the inlets and on the bridges. Now the snook bite is getting a little harder to catch. The colder water is starting to make them a little bit more. What's the word again, Danny? Lethargic. Thank you.
But there's ways to target them still, and Captain Danny Bear is your man to show you how to target those snook.
So anyway, that's our weather predictions for this weekend. We'd like to thank our sponsors, of course.
Oh, Mr. Producer, the species of the week.
Okay, guys. Here's this name the species of the week. Now it's a $50 gift certificate to X Generation. Nobody here has answered this question correctly. It is now $50 to X. You can use it anywhere in the store other than Rear Repair. And you must email us at xgenfishing@gmail.com. Again, xgenfishing@gmail.com. You must watch the show next week to see if you are the winner. But unfortunately, next week is Thanksgiving, so it will be the following week to make sure you are the winner, and you will receive that $50 gift certificate.
The whole correct name.
That is correct.
So tell them where the new place where they can find us and see all our shows. You can find us.
Oh yeah, we're going to do a YouTube now, a YouTube show, and we're going to be posting all our shows up on Friday. Roughly around noontime, and then you can watch our fishing report at that point too.
So if you miss something, you want to learn how to tie a rig that it runs through, you can pause it and see Captain Mike, or you see myself, or any of the other pros on the show showing you guys how to tie these rigs. Also go over the hot fish. Great thing to do. You can find that at XGen Fishing on the YouTube channel. That's our YouTube channel, XGen Fishing.
And we'd like to thank our sponsors. Of
X
course.
Generation, of course.
We got Exit Realty with Devin Kaya.
Captain Denny Bear, GoSnakeFishing.com.
George from WRPBI TV, Mad Sun Fishing with Captain George Bradbury.
J-Cam Lures.
And support your local tackle store. We'll see you next week.
See you next week?
Yep, see you next week. Oh, maybe well, the following week.
See you the following week. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
The orcas at SeaWorld were born here. Sending them into the wild wouldn't be noble. It could be fatal. When they freed Keiko, the killer whale of movie fame, the effort was a failure, and he perished. But we also understand that times have changed. Today, people are concerned about the world's largest animals like never before. So, we too must change. That's why the orcas in our care will be the last generation at SeaWorld. There will be no more breeding. We're also phasing out orca theatrical shows. They'll continue to receive the highest standard of care available anywhere. And guests can come to see them simply being their majestic selves, inspiring the next generation of people to love them as you do.
Are you sleepy? No. What do you think it's gonna be like? Mom says there's even more magical stuff now.
Okay, guys, back to bed.
We're too excited to sleep.
Imagine how excited your kids will be when their favorite Disney stories come to life on a magical Walt Disney World vacation.
You sleep?
No, too excited.
I heard that.